So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background while I was growing up. Growing up, I can remember learning to do a lot of things, and I'm sure you all can too. Like, the first thing everyone learned how to do was to walk, and I'm sure that wasn't a simple task. But for me, I had another hard task when I was growing up, and it was tying my shoe. I can remember that tying my shoe was the hardest thing to do. It literally took me forever to learn how to do. And my parents would bring home pictures and books and try and show me videos of how to tie my shoe, but it was something that I just could not get for the life of me. But when I finally learned how to do it, I realized that it wasn't the books or the pictures or the videos that taught me how to tie my shoe. It was watching my parents that taught me best. I watched them every day as they got ready to go to work, one foot in after the other, tying each shoelace into a neat, perfect bunny knot. Or at least that's what I like to call them. But I can also remember that that's not the only thing I learned from my parents, which is surprising for me as a teenager to say. I learned how they do things, you could say. I watched how they pay bills, keep a steady job. I watched how they interact with people, but more importantly, I watched how they reacted to people, which is something that might not seem like it affects much, but as you learn more about my speech, it will. It has to do with social mobility, or upward mobility. Upward mobility refers to the movement of one from a social or economic level to another, often by changing income or status, and it often happens through generation. For example, a farmer's son becoming a farmer, and his son becoming a farmer, and so on and so on and so on. So upward mobility has recently become a trending topic in America due to the fact that our society isn't too mobile. Now, in reading, I've seen that a recent author named Sorokin came up with the ideology that no society is completely open to movement and no society is completely closed to movement, meaning that they all move a little bit. And America's has done the same. It's just actually declined. So studies show that 70% of Americans who are born poor will remain poor, and that 4% who move into a different bracket, 53% of them are college graduates, 50% of them are two-income families, 35% of them are white, and 34% of them have never experienced unemployment, which has caused researchers to state that the opportunity to create and determine future generations' choices for success is often determined by where their parents grew up and their grandparents grew up, and so on and so on and so on. Now, in researching, I've seen that there are 3 aggravating factors in mobility. And websites say that they're income, status, and occupation, but I beg to differ. I say those 3 factors are education, urbanization, and imitation. Now, I'm going to start with education. Now, it's been proven that people who are of a lower income bracket typically move into lower income neighborhoods and typically go to lower quality neighborhood schools, which can also be applied to the factor of urbanization, which causes close-knit families who are typically living in a society together to be in a competitive job market or workforce, meaning there is a need for a higher level of education. And the third is imitation, which can be related to my first story talking about how to tie my shoe. Just like I said, I watched everything that my parents did, and I watched how they did it, and I tried to perfect it. And remember, I told you I watched how they reacted. And I'm sure that the rest of you and many other people in our society watch how their parents react and can apply it to their everyday lives, which can be scary when we realize that there are 721,000 current parents who are incarcerated, and there are 45 million families that are currently living below the poverty line. And these numbers could increase as we get older. But just like every other TED speaker, I'm here to encourage you and motivate you to do better in life. And I'd like to do that by giving you a quote that is from one of my favorite poets, whose name is Maya Angelou. She says that there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Today, I'm here to let you know that you each have the tools to write your own story. Or even if you don't, while you're gaining the tools, don't lend someone else the pen to write the story for you. You are able and you are capable to have the ability to write your own story. I'm here to also say that past performances don't and won't affect future results. So please remember this as you move forward in life. Don't be defined by another person. Don't be defined by another number or statistic. And more importantly, remember that imitation is merely a sense of insecurity. You have the ability to do it yourself. So please remember this as you move forward. Thank you.